What if we're inside of a giant head, Ken, the entire universe, and Earth is a cancer cell?
I stopped smoking weed a long time ago, so
College days are over.
that's
There we
it,
go.
man.
We are back
We're
after a
back.
1 week hiatus. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. We are simulcasting with KGRADB.com, KGRA on YouTube, and also on Facebook. My name is George Lopez. With me, as always, Mr. Ken DeCosta. In a is that a hollowed out grave? Where are you at right now? I'm just trying to
I'm in a crypt right
a
now.
crypt. All right.
For those who probably caught this a couple of weeks ago, we moved into a new house and um,
Well, it looks bare.
welcome to the old apartment. This is
Oh,
where I used to live.
I know.
I'm going
Oh,
to
sorry.
squeeze one more show into this. And then next week, a whole new backdrop. I got to figure that out yet. But hope you guys missed us. Hope you had a happy Easter last Sunday. Enjoyed it. We did. Did you?
Yeah, listen. If anything else, Ken, if you're gonna do a background when you go to the next place, just don't make it some mountains with a castle on top. I mean, that's just tacky as hell. We don't want something like that. All right, just keep that in mind.
Why?
But
What have you heard?
I have just rumors, just rumors. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. As always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. A reminder bell is right there also for upcoming content. And there's a lot there and a lot more coming. And of course, don't forget to smash that thumbs up. If
You
you
better.
guys don't do that, we will have somebody from the show tonight put a hex on you. It's pretty much all West Coast tonight. Very good friends of ours. And Ken, why don't you give a little background of what it is that these people have done, where they've been, and also the notoriety resurfacing once again.
Well, we got some people from the Dark Zone on tonight, and
Yes.
we love having them, especially when they do their live events. We like to do a little post mortem, as we call it, where we review where they've been, what they've done. And of course, if you follow the Dark Zone, it's just some amazing locations. The Queen Mary, Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast, the Conjuring House, just to name three. And a place that we heard of a while back, we're going to take a deeper dive into tonight, which is the Los Angeles Police Museum. And who knew
Ooh.
that it was haunted? They knew it was haunted. Now, some of you may have seen this location featured on Ghost Adventures, but the
Ooh.
Dark Zone did a live event from it.
Ooh.
I think they had a bit of a watch party the night
Yeah.
of the broadcast, and I think, and I'll stand corrected here, I think it was April 14th that they did an investigation, and we have privileged to have, as always, some of the principals involved in this who are going to give you a little bit of a background on what happened to them, the museum in general, and yes, you want clips? We got clips.
Yeah, that's the stuff I like. I only have one question right now. Who is Jay Bluemke, and why does he have to see his name in print? That's what I'm trying to figure. Hey, Jay, how are you,
There he
sir?
is.
I'm
We
good.
were
How are you
talking
guys
about
doing?
this before the show. You know who's on the West Coast and the East Coast. We are in the Bat Cave, and all of these people from Los Angeles are in the bright sunshine because it's 5 p.m. there. How you doing, my friend? Always good to have you back.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Over the course of this evening, the lights will go down and it'll get weird, but
Oh
that's fine.
Yeah,
yeah.
atmospheric, if nothing,
Oh
Yeah.
if
yeah.
nothing else, right? So you have been busy bees. There's no rest for the weary for you and the entire staff of the Dark Zone, and we're going to get into a little bit of your latest thing right now. But tell us a little bit about what you have had going on, and tell us all about the future projects here first.
Okay. So I know everybody always wants to know what the next live event is going to be. We've taken a little break from the live events because we've been working very hard on our new Dark Zone app. Some of you have heard of it. Some of you are using it, but we haven't had an official release on it yet because there's still, with programs, there's always some bugs to fix and work out. So we're chasing things. And just this weekend, for example, Cheryl let me know that there was a problem with one of the videos for the Los Angeles Police Museum. So I had to fix that, and that is in the process of being fixed. So there's just a ton of stuff. But when you go with it, can I share my screen with you? Can I?
Please do.
Does that work? Okay, I'm gonna share it, and then share screen.
For those of you, if we happen to lose you entirely, it is Jay Bluemke's fault. Please make all your complaints to thedarkzone.tv.
Okay, so I'm sharing the screen right now. Can you see this? Can you see the Dark Zone?
No, if you do share screen, you'll have to make sure that you click Windows. There you go. What do you got here?
There we go. Do you see it?
Yeah, we got the Dark Zone, as we say.
Yeah, so this is the app, right? And it looks a little different on your phone, but on the computer, it looks like this. And this is the main feed. We've been working on this. There's so much here that, you're constantly like fixing issues that pop up. So that's why it's not released yet. But this is the main feed. Over here on this side, you've got team and groups. And the team, these are basically fan pages for people who we call paranormal influencers. Andrea, Brandon, Brian Murray, Chris Fleming, Chris Smith, Colin Brown. If you go down here, there's a guy down here. I don't know how this guy got in here, but he's in here at the moment. He's got to start using his page though. It's empty at the moment. Well, we got to get you to use your page there, buddy.
Yeah, we'll get to that, man. We'll get to that.
And then, but if you go to groups, I do see that you created a Rise Up Paranormal.
Wow, it went through. I was accepted.
Group here. Yeah, there it is. There's a group. Got to start.
And nothing there either.
But I joined. See, I've joined.
Okay.
So you can have, you can create, if you're a user, you can create groups. You can also communicate with our paranormal influencers one-on-one. You can send them messages. They will respond to you. You have shows. There's content you can watch. We've got the original house live show we did here. You see all the videos in there. We've got the Lizzie Borden stuff in here. We've got Queen Mary and Los Angeles Police Museum right here. One of the videos I'm fixing right now, day one I'm fixing. And then the second house, Conjuring House that we did, which I'm still putting the videos in. But then there's a whole lot of other content that's in here. It's all free. You have to, for the stuff that's the live events that people originally had to buy tickets for, we are charging for those video clips because it wouldn't be fair to the people who actually purchased tickets for people to be seeing it for free now. So everything else is free though. And there's some really great series in here. Monstrum is produced by PBS. It's really cool. It's all about, like folkloric monsters and things like that. It's just real high production value, all of it. And then you'll see shows that you're familiar with: The Haunting of, Monster Quest, UFO Hunters, Curse, all this stuff, the older things. And then there's kind of on the bottom a grab bag of really cool, like paranormal documentaries that are one-offs, right? That aren't specifically a series or anything. We got podcasts. Really cool. We got podcasts, any podcasts you could want, and live. And right now, if you look in our live section, we see Dead Air is kind of queued up and ready to go. And then if you are a paranormal investigator, or you do events, or if you want to know what's happening event-wise in the community, you can go to our events page, and you can see events coming up that you might want to get tickets to.
One-stop shopping, ladies and gentlemen, for all your paranormal needs.
Exactly.
I was in the other day when I registered, and I saw a host of shows that you have on there, and immediately I got there's George. She's
How come I'm not on the page?
Well, seems to me somebody told me not to put them on the page.
I wrote a book with Andrea Perrin, and I don't even have a circle on that page.
Never got a dinner. George Lopez
never
wrote a
been
book.
to the Conjuring
Never
House.
Got a dinner. But it's an amazing site. There's so much,
and that's what we've been focused on, right? We're
Very
not,
nice.
we haven't set a live event, but we are going to be talking pretty soon. I would say within the next month about what the next live event is. We're just ironing out some things, making sure technically we can do what we want to do, and then we'll make an announcement.
Outstanding. I love it.
So I understand we have a ragtag group of West Coastaner paranormal investigators that had an opportunity to go out to this incredible location. And Jay, if you want to introduce who we've got, we'll bring them on one by one.
I will. Okay, so the
Lead 'em off.
Los Angeles Police Museum, first of all, was a location that I had been told about by a buddy of mine named Sean Hart. And Sean is one of the guys who's one of the developers of our app. He's also an effects guy. When I do TV shows, he does like the 3D effects that you see, that explain how this process works or whatever. And he does high-end films. He does everything. But he had been telling me about this location for a couple of years. And I was just so busy. I just couldn't focus on it. And then finally, when we were looking for our next place to go and we wanted to do something local, I asked him about it. He said, "Oh, yeah, you got to go meet my friend Meesha. Meesha works there. She's like trying to build up the paranormal aspect of the location and tell people about it. And we're going to do an investigation. And why don't you come see it?" So I went. And that's when I met Meesha, who we have from the Los Angeles Police Museum. And Meesha is she pretty much Meesha, what is your title at the museum?
Administrative assistant.
So she's got regular duties, but she also has made everybody aware of the paranormal aspect of this location. And the reason why it's haunted is it just holds so many artifacts from these very violent, tragic crimes that a lot of people are familiar with. You've got the Manson stuff. You've got, there are some that are still kind of open that they can't really show the stuff in public, like some of the Manson murders and some of the like the Black Dahlia is still an open case, right? And then but they have, they've got things from Marilyn Monroe in there. They've got, of course, the North Hollywood shootout. They've got the Onion Field. They got the Patty Hearst stuff. There's just so much stuff that they have, and these things have been imprinted with so much energy, And I don't work there, but Meesha's got stories that'll kind of, curl the hair on the back of your neck. Huh, Meesha?
Yeah.
Meesha, curl our hair.
I mean,
what was I just want to jump in. What was your come to Jesus moment, and when you started working there that maybe made you say, okay, something going on here?
I think it was about a month into working there, and I had to alarm the building by myself. And I alarmed the building, and I heard footsteps coming up from the conference room, and I knew I was the only person there because I had checked everything, locked it up. But I unalarmed, I checked, I went downstairs to see if there was anybody there, and there wasn't. So I re-alarmed and heard footsteps coming up the stairs again. And I was like, this place is haunted.
Did any of your predecessors or mentors or anybody, did they ever fill you in on any of this, or you just kind of happened upon it? They didn't. Should they have?
Probably.
But one of the things that's interesting is that this is the Los Angeles Police Museum is actually run by. I don't know if Robert is an active officer anymore. I think he's retiring or just retired. But active police officers. People who are like very credible witnesses to anything that they experience because that's their training. And when they have these kinds of experiences and you hear them tell their stories, you can't really dispute that what their experience was. It was actually their experience as they understand it. I've always found that interesting when you get that kind of testimony from police officers, the military, firemen.
Sure, first responders. And now on your live event, and we're going to bring some folks in right now, and Jay will give you again the honor of doing that. One by one, the intrepid band of investigators, and some of them are familiar faces to all you dead airheads out there, and we're going to meet a couple of new faces. And Jay, if you do us the honors, please.
Sure. So when we decided that we were going to go live at the Los Angeles Police Museum, we went 3 nights in a row live, and each night had different investigators. And one of our favorite investigators and our favorite guys to work with, he's been involved pretty much with every single one of the live events that we've done in one way or another. He called in on the first 2 shows. Then with Queen Mary, he came out to the Queen Mary. It's Rick McCallum. He's with the Hollywood Ghost Hunters. Good friend.
Rick McCallum
for years, and he's just one of these guys that's such a serious investigator. I mean, he's a nice guy, and he's always a big presence, but he's always also just like a serious, level-headed investigator. It's always great watching him work.
Rick, where are you? In Venice right now? Where the hell are you?
Well, you know, after I got smacked by George Lopez about my castle in the back, I decided,
well played, sir. Well played.
I decided to change. This is actually Calton Hill in Edinburgh, Scotland, which is where I'm going on a tour, and I love that place.
Hand to God, Rick, I had no idea. None.
Yeah, he's got his fingers crossed on the other hand.
Well, Scotland near and dear to your heart too. You got things going on, sir.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love Scotland.
Yeah. So you bring us once again. They hooked you up, and not your first go around at the police museum, correct?
Oh, I've been there now, I believe 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that is really cool about it, it was haunted the first time. As a matter of fact, a very strange thing happened. I had gone on the 3rd day of the 3-day ghost hunt, and they were shooting the follow-up of the first 2 days, and Jay asked me to sit at the front door, you know. So I was sitting in the reception area, and I heard somebody in heavy boots walk right in front of me, and I could see all the way out to the street because I'm in the reception area, and I hear it go by me, and I'm like, okay, right? Everybody else is, you know, downstairs and behind me. So when Jay came back up, I said, Jay, I just heard somebody walk right in front of me. He goes, let's go tell Meesha. So I went and I told Meesha, and Meesha goes, I know, I hear that all the time. So I wasn't there 5 minutes when I got my first thing happened at LAPD Museum. And it's gotten bigger exponentially every time we go.
Yeah. You think that you guys are ramping it up? I mean, not in a bad way, but the idea is that you're reaching across, trying to set up a line of communication. I'm a big believer that you can develop relationships with locations.
Well, I have to say that is true, and I think anybody on here will tell you this. There's a motorcycle man who was killed, Walter Krebs, and for some reason, Walter was the one that we believe walked in front of us. So we went downstairs, and I was using my K2 meter, and we had the voice recorders going. And every time I go there, Walter responds on the K2 meters when I start talking to him, every single time. So I do think that they're starting to get to know us and being more trusting to us. So we're getting more things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you develop that kind of relationship because you have the advantage of knowing a little bit about the background of these people. So it adds some specificity to the questions that you ask, especially on the next visit, because, you know, you can follow up a certain line of questioning because we don't know what the magic word is, but maybe you talk about somebody's family, maybe you talk about their profession and whatever the case may be. But, you know, I'm glad they're responding to you folks.
Yeah, we have actually changed a few things around because, you know, as you go there, you learn better about each location and what's most likely to get more attention and things like that. And that's where Cheryl Plumb and Mikey Thompson have really come in because Cheryl is fantastic. I call her the queen of audio, and she catches everything. And Mikey, I always call him the gadget master. He has more toys that he knows how to use. And I will tell you, one of the things that we did in the North Hollywood room to get things going, he had an SLS camera, and he had an idea to play some sounds beforehand. So I suggested to him, I said, why don't you play machine gun sounds? I mean, that was that's what it sounded like.
Why not?
So now when he goes in there, you know, we'll go in and we'll do the hunt and everything else. And after everybody's satisfied with what they found, we'll do that. And every single time, you can ask Mikey about it, Cheryl also, because she's doing the sound. As soon as those machine guns go off, we get two figures inside the thing, inside the glass where the 2 mannequins are.
Oh, cool.
I've seen it. I mean, I don't know if you want to play it now or what, but
we'll bring everybody.
Let's bring everybody on first. All right. So our next person, well, we got Mikey and Cheryl that you just brought up. Now, let me tell you the story of Mikey and Cheryl, and it starts with Cheryl actually. So we've got fans from the Dark Zone, and not everybody is West Coast, but these guys are. And so they're right before we did the live event at the LA Police Museum. They had some kind of a festival fundraiser, and I'm in the parking lot walking around, and I hear a female voice going, "Jay, Jay!" I'm like, what is going on? I don't know anybody here. You know, who's this? And then this woman runs up and I think hugs me, if I recall, right? Didn't we hug, Cheryl? And I'm like,
I was like, I found him.
Yeah, and she's like, it's Cheryl, and I'm like, oh my God, Cheryl! I only know you from the chat room, right? So Cheryl said that she was going to be part of the investigation. Oh no, it wasn't the live thing we did. It was our first actual exclusive investigation that we did that people got tickets for. And so Cheryl came and did that. And Mikey, you were there too that night, right? The first one. And so,
Yes.
So these guys have been part of the Los Angeles Police Museum investigation experience that we've been doing in association, the Dark Zone and the LA Police Museum with Meesha, since right after we did the live show. We've done 4 or 5 of them now, and these guys have done every one. And it's gotten to the point where they've become experts at the location. Pretty much, they know it as good as anybody else, and so they're now going for free. I mean, they're just always invited to go, and they're going to also help Rick and Melissa start running some of the investigations, and we should bring Melissa on too.
Why not?
Where are you, Melissa? Melissa,
There she is.
There. All right.
There's one of our favorites.
So I met Melissa through Susan Slaughter on that app called, what is that app called?
Clubhouse. That was Clubhouse. Yeah.
That's right, on Clubhouse. And Melissa was holding court one day in a room talking to a bunch of people, and Susan said, hey, you might want to work with her and have her come out. She's a great medium. And so we said, great. So she came out on night 1 of the broadcast that we did at the LA Police Museum. And when we brought her there, we didn't tell her where she was going. She had no idea. She just showed up at the address, and then we brought her in, and she was, boom, on air. And she started doing her thing. And so now she's been back to almost every one of the not live, but the exclusive investigations that we've done with the museum there. And I think that this group of investigators here, Rick and Melissa and Cheryl and Mikey with Meesha, they have hit that place hard and know it better than anybody else at this point.
I wanted to actually ask Mikey and Cheryl a little bit about that, because obviously you got a history there before a lot of people knew about the place. So how did you get it on the ground floor there yourself? Whoever wants, Cheryl, you can go first. It's what brought you there? What called you there? What did you find? And what makes you motivated to keep going back?
So I started, if you can hear me okay, I started off
Yep.
with watching the very first live stream at the Conjuring House. And I got hooked right away and met a bunch of people in the chat, and there was nothing else to do during the pandemic. So thank you, Jay and the Dark Zone, for giving us little stuff to do. So I managed to see every single one of the streamed events. And when I saw that Jay had posted that there was a live one, I was there. I had to be there. At first he was saying, oh, are you sure you want to come? Of course I'm going to come. You can't stop me. So we got to the first one, and I had read Rick's book, and he had such amazing stories that, we just got along so great from the get-go. And same thing with Meesha and Melissa. And I think that energy that we all put together, along with the energy in the museum, just exploded everything. And we have caught everything from whispers to whistles, footsteps. It's just been amazing.
Yeah. Now, Jay, it wasn't Cheryl that tried to break in your first trip there, was it? Did you find out that maybe that was her trying to get in?
It might have been Cheryl. I don't know.
Cheryl, you can fess up. You're among friends here.
I have an alibi for that night.
Okay.
Airtight?
Could have been Mikey, for all we know.
Okay, Mikey, what's your alibi then?
Rick has unfortunately known me for a couple years now, and he was the one that introduced me to the LAPD Museum and told me about the event there, and so I'm only about an hour and a half away, so I zoomed on down for that first event, and like Cheryl, I was hooked immediately. The building, Meesha, first of all, if you haven't had the privilege of meeting Meesha, she's just such a warm, gentle, kind soul, and very welcoming and very excited about the paranormal and the museum itself. And so you just kind of fall in love with Meesha and the whole building and everything. And then knowing Rick was what got me in the door that night. And I've been there ever since. I love it.
I've tried to use Rick McCallum's name. I get thrown out of places.
I'm used to it.
I've been thrown out of better places than that. And of course, Melissa, you bring your skill set into this as well. And that plays out, I know, in watching the first one there and a lot of the experiments that were done. And Susan was there. I know Estee's method was done. And Kristen was there with you. And you had your own kind of like freaky experience there the first time out. What was the second go around like? A little bit more information, or how'd that play?
Yeah, I would say every time I go back there, it seems like I make a deeper connection with the spirits that are there. And one of the times I went, is it okay to talk about the Sharon Tate experience?
Do it. Yes.
So one of the times I forget.
We've had David Oman on. It can't get any worse.
Okay. I forget the name of the room that it happened in, but it's right off the onion field room. And, I walked in there and, normally, I experience the, Emil and Larry from the infamous North Hollywood shootout, of course. They're like the loudest spirits there, I feel like. But in this case, we were sitting a bunch of us in this room, and I was like, all of a sudden I get this weird feeling in my body where I felt suddenly pregnant, like largely pregnant. And I felt really sad. A lot of emotions came through me. I think I even started crying a little bit, like just involuntarily or involuntarily. And I also had like the strange feeling of like a stabbing in the middle of my stomach. And I, said to the people there, I described what I was experiencing. And I don't remember if it was Rick, it might've been Rick, but someone pointed out and said, that's Sharon. And I didn't know what had happened to her because I'm very sensitive. So I can't really look into like how people are murdered. But when I explained like, the sensations I was feeling, Rick was like, that's definitely Sharon. And Rick, you even stepped in because you were like, this is getting a little intense, right?
Yeah, sometimes she gets in so deep. I mean, I started worrying about her safety because she was obviously really connecting with something, and it was actually time for her to stop. So
yeah, the channeling can get really super hard, and I'm so open that they kind of just come in and say, they can almost take over me, But it's really intense. You can really feel the everything in there has energy on it, Right. And even though we can't see the stuff that from the Manson, murders, that the energy is palpable. It's still there,
And Jay, I mean, obviously you've put together kind of a dream team here, and I don't know if this was by design or happenstance, but you, for this event, had people that obviously, hey, come on to the police museum. Instead, you had people in this that are invested in this particular place, which I think must have really brought something to the table, a little bit different.
Right. Well, what we really wanted to do was, because it was kind of the big premiere of the show that had shot there, and we also wanted to announce that our app was coming out, and we love that location. We tried to tie all this stuff together, and so what we did was with our live broadcast last or Thursday night, the 14th, was we had Brandon on, because he was at our live thing. We had Brandon and Rick and Melissa, Meesha, Cheryl, and Mikey at the museum. Then we brought Brandon in, Kristen, and Susan, and so it was kind of retrospective, talking about what we had experienced, and then letting Rick and Melissa and Meesha and Cheryl and Mikey kind of talk about the things that they've experienced at the exclusive ghost hunts that nobody else has gotten to see, really, except for people who have purchased tickets to go. So we wanted to bring everybody up to speed. And I think that, this group, like I said, they know the location better than anybody at this point. There have been other teams there, and we weren't even the first kind of group to go there and investigate it in depth. There was, Meesha, correct me if I'm wrong, it was Weird Hollywood, right?
Hollywood Paranormal.
Hollywood Paranormal, yeah. And they had done like a podcast there and over a couple nights, just like a couple weeks before we were even there. So we weren't the first, but I think we were the first to kind of do it in a bigger way. And, I think that these guys, because we're also here, there's not a whole lot that happens on the West Coast, right? So, getting this group together and, knowing that they all like each other and they like working together, and they've done it several times now, and investigating a location that seems to get more active every time. And I think, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but you learn something new every time. It seems like you learn something new. And one of the things I wanted to ask Melissa is, what's your overall feeling of the location? I know Meesha has her feeling of what she, just the environment of working in it all the time. But, what is your overall feeling of the location? Is it, something that's really dark? Is it just something that is,
It's a mixed bag, to be honest. There's definitely some negative energy there. I'm not going to lie, and especially around the cars. There's some really intense negative energy especially the North Hollywood shootout car. But there's also a protective energy there as well. So, it's not just, criminals and evil, angry people. There's also, police officers and what have you who have passed on, and their energy is still there, and their energy is sort of, friendly and protective, as if to say, like, we're going to keep anything dangerous away from the good people who work here. There's definitely that vibe. And then there's also a sadness there. There's a tremendous, especially in the basement area, there's like that long hallway, and then there's a restroom, that little sort of the L-shaped area. There's a tremendous sadness there, and that has a very feminine energy. So that's one of the reasons I feel like this particular location is so fascinating, is because it's so many different energies all like working together.
Well, something that's interesting that we discussed while we were there on the 14th was that you had that feeling that you're talking about in the basement. You brought that up when you were there, when we were doing the live show. We talked about it, and there was never anybody saying, well, yeah, there was a woman that was hurt here or killed here or whatever. And that got verified on the show.
Yeah. I mean, my head almost popped off because I hadn't seen that Ghost Adventures episode yet. And, I got to see it, with everybody else for the first time at the LAPD museum. And I was sitting in the back row. And when Zach, I believe it was Zach mentioned that they found out the name of the woman that had, died down there, or what happened?
She committed suicide.
She committed suicide. She got a gun. She stole a gun and killed herself. And that was pretty much exactly the energy that I had felt there. And I believe I tried to see if there was video, but I didn't get a chance to find it. But I believe I might have even mentioned the letter M, because I was trying to figure out her name. And I was like, is it Mary? I feel like I was saying, and then we found out just recently her name was Margaret. And it just blew my mind, having validation like that, when you have a sort of sixth sense and you have that intuition, if you can't validate it, it's kind of useless in a weird way,
there. Yeah.
But once you get validation, it's just like, yes.
I wanted to ask Meesha now, you're serving a couple of purposes here, Meesha, and then I want to ask the rest of you how you feel about this too. Obviously, you're invested in this place, and you've embraced the paranormal facet of this thing, but it's only a facet. There is historical significance, obviously, to this location. So, I mean, you're kind of doing the best of both worlds. Sure, people get their attention drawn to it because, they're into this type of thing. But we've always said if you're not careful, you might learn something about the history too. So that's got to be kind of rewarding that you're kind of straddling both worlds in the same aspect. You're also bringing people in that now they've heard of the place and they want to see, and hear more about it.
Sure. It's gotten a lot more attention to the exhibits.
Right.
People are more interested in learning about the history, and I feel like through our investigations, like the Margaret case, we've gotten more answers through our investigations of different things that have happened, and it's added to the knowing the history of LAPD.
Yeah, well, the knowledge is a wonderful thing. And for the rest of you folks, now you've been to a lot of these different type of play. I'm just going to open this up to the floor because you're also serving the same purpose. Because for what I know, history is important to you. Background is important to you. Melissa, a little bit different because you don't want to know that much going in. But is it gratifying to all of you to go to some of these places? And sure, you're doing an investigation, but you're doing some good for that particular location too, as well. So I don't know, let's go down the bottom. Let's start with Mikey. How do you feel about that? I mean, because it's really cool that you people do this, but you're also bringing such positive attention to the place as well.
Yeah, it's like you were saying, Ken, the best of both worlds. If you're just a museum fan and you love learning about history and things that happened, you can go there and learn about all of the different exhibits that they have by itself, even if you're not into the paranormal. Or if you're a paranormal fan, the great place to go because of so much evidence that's there, everything that's wrapped up into that building. So I didn't have a lot of time to research it before I went when Rick invited me. But even now, looking into everything that's housed in that building and that's happened, it's like that overwhelming feeling that Melissa was talking about. There's so much information and history preserved inside there.
Right.
Just learning about that alone, so that when you're in there doing an investigation and that feeling of, oh, there's a lot happening here, the sadness, the joy, the dark, it's all there. Because I feel like associated with the items that are in there, active cases, like Jay was saying, things that bring that building to life.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cheryl, you feeling the same way, I would imagine. I mean, you're doing, while you're doing this, I know you're enjoying it. I mean, we all do, but
Absolutely.
there can be a greater purpose to this too.
Right. And one of the best things about having the live investigations where people can basically pay to come is you're getting some excellent investigators leading it, but you're also getting people that are interested in the paranormal a little bit more practice and teaching them kind of the ways of how to reach out in a positive way and not interact, mean with all the spirits that are there. So, it's okay if we keep coming back. And there were actually some of the people that showed up that were very shy and they didn't want to be involved. But, Rick McCallum is the master at pulling people in and getting them involved. And by the end, we are all such good friends. And, I've met so many people through this that are just probably going to stay with me for the lifetime.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. And Rick, I mean, world traveler that you are, I mean, look at your backdrop. I mean, this is amazing. But you've been to so many places and events and things of that nature. So I would imagine it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that that kind of thing is important to you. The education, the appreciation of the location. And yeah, we'll do some paranormal investigating. Maybe we'll come up with something. But again, greater purpose.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, this doesn't really go with the LAPD museum, but does do what you're talking about. I actually had the chance one time at a place in Malibu to cross somebody over. And as I told them, I said, I know you're going close. Can you give us a sign? And the girl who was standing next to me, she just swung her head around and looked, and I turned around and looked. And I said, you heard something, didn't you? And everybody knows you don't tell them what you heard. You make them tell you, right? She goes, I heard a man's voice. I said, I did too. I said, what did it say? And she looked at me, and I mean, she was starting to get a little misty-eyed. She goes, I heard him say goodbye. And after you have something like that happen, you're pretty much set after that. Everything is just good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I mean, it's rewarding, if nothing else. So someone is displaying free will. You know, the fact that they can stay, they can go, but you know, there are people who are grounded. There are people who come in visitation. The trick is finding out, you know, who's who and who needs help. So, Jay, I'm going to come back to Jay here for a second. In putting something like this together, this was a 3-day event, correct?
The original one, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, was it a little bit easier the second go around? Things went a little bit more smoothly. I mean, obviously, you got a great crew in there, very knowledgeable, but there's challenges. But...
Everyone's different. Everyone is different, right? The first one that we did, we'd never done one before. So, I mean, even though most of us involved in the Dark Zone come from a TV background, and we understand, you know, how it's supposed to work. You know, technology and streaming technology, nobody had ever done what we were doing. So, you know, we had issues. And then as we often do, we challenge ourselves. And the next one was even more difficult, yet more impressive looking. But it was slightly easier in the sense that we actually had professionals on site at the Lizzie Borden house. Working there, and so we were able to, you know, make sure that, you know, so some of the production was definitely quality controlled on that end, but we did a completely different show, and it was very difficult. And then the Queen Mary, of course, was our third thing, and that was even more difficult because just the nature of the Queen Mary, we ran, you know, a mile of fiber optic cable on that ship, you know, and the control center was insane, and it was real expensive to do, but we put on a pretty friggin' cool show, I think. And then after that, after we had spent so much money on all of those other things, we were like, all right, we got to scale this down, right? Let's do something local, and let's do something we can do with our cell phones, you know, and just so then that introduced its own, you know, issues. Although, you know, I thought it was what I liked about the Los Angeles Police Museum live event that we did was that it felt like the production of an actual paranormal show. I mean, you got to see kind of behind the scenes of how we really do things on these shows. And I thought it was fun. It was more down and dirty. It was more real feeling, I thought, you know. Okay. So, yeah, it's like it's never easy. It's some are easier than others, but they're all hard. You know?
I mean, you know, the one that we were at in Harrisville, the Conjure, I mean, that was a snap, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you were there. Yeah.
Raining sideways.
That was crazy. I mean, that you know, that got hard. And, you know, when you see me in normal life, I'm a relatively easygoing guy. When you see me working, like Kathleen thought I was possessed at a certain point. It was, you know, it was rough. I was very stressed out, and it was hard. You were there. You saw what was going on.
Yeah, I was trying to give you. I was trying to give you a slice of pizza 4 times as you walked by me. Well, what's his problem? You got a problem with me, Bluemke? Meesha, before and as promised, we're going to get into some clips here, and we're going to ask you guys to break them down. You were kind enough to give us some of these things, and I know we're looking forward to that. But really quickly before we start, we'll get a couple in for the top of the hour. Meesha, how is the museum growing as far as curation, as far as exhibits? Are you getting, you know, more things as time goes on? Is the more contemporary police force on board with this?
Yeah, I think the more they see what's going on with the paranormal investigations, I find a lot of the officers are really interested in what we're finding. I know we're trying to put together a full Manson exhibit. We have a mini, you know, like one little display case, but we're working with the DA to do a full exhibit on Manson.
Okay.
And that's in the works.
I'm so glad to hear that, because I have to ask you, and I'm going to ask the rest of you the same question. If the answer is no, real quick, you can just pass on it. But Meesha, have you had policemen come to you maybe on the QT, on the down low, and tell you about paranormal experiences that they may have had? Like, don't think I'm crazy, but this kind of thing, because we hear these stories all the time.
Sure. We had a retired officer who had worked at this the station when it was active, and he saw a full spirit in the museum when it was an active station, and he even pulled his gun out. All the officers ran to go and look for the person, and so I've heard a lot of different stories like that.
Yeah, well, Jay was talking about first responders, firemen, and stuff. How about the rest of you folks? I mean, not necessarily this, but I'm going to go off on this tangent a little bit. Have you heard stories from first responders? Things that are told to you maybe in confidence. We understand everybody likes tenure, and they don't want to get maximum crap at back at the station. But have you had people? Rick, how about yourself? You've been around a lot of these folks.
Yeah, actually, I have. And actually, I've had a couple of retired officers that had come along on one of the ghost hunts take me aside and tell me some of their things.
Cool.
Which was fascinating, because when you get professional observers telling you things, police are trained to really be able to observe. That is really cool. But one of the things that has happened in my life that I think might be something you'd be interested in, when my mom was really sick back in Chicago, I was taking care of her, and she would have this priest come over every night. And finally, my curiosity got me, and I took him outside. I said, "So, you ever had a paranormal experience?" And he goes, "Yes." I said, "Really? Tell me." And he goes, "You're not ready to hear it."
Ooh. Oh yeah, now you're definitely ready to hear it, right?
Yeah. Well, I was ready to hear it then, but I mean, I think he was trying to tell me there's a lot more than we might be paying attention to.
In so many words, Mikey, Cheryl, how about yourself? Have you had that kind of experience, even before the museum, somewhere in your efforts as investigators?
Yeah, I currently work in the medical field. Actually, I've been in the medical field for over the last 20 years, and I started out driving ambulance and worked my way up to RN. But I've had personal experiences in the hospital with patients. I've had police officers tell me about things that happened on scene right after accidents and things. So absolutely full of stories on the medical side of it as well, which has fueled my passion for the paranormal, along with personal experiences. Absolutely.
Yeah. Cheryl, how about yourself?
Unfortunately, none of the police officers that I used to hang out with shared any paranormal investigation stuff with me, but we play poker, so they were trying to hide everything from me at that point.
Yeah, I started to dive into this a little bit, and this is not about me at all, but so much so that I was actually thinking of writing this down, some of the interviews that I've had with people, and it's amazing. But there's still that kind of stigma attached because, they don't want their name attached to everything. And I think you respect that. You understand why. A lot of times, like Rick said, retired, like I'm off the payroll now. I can talk about it for sure.
I can chime in for 2 seconds. I have
you are not to be forgotten, Melissa. I'll bet you I bet you they've confessed to you.
I've had a lot of confessions for sure, but one thing that I wanted to share that I just think is interesting, and I'm happy to have anyone else chime in as well. Yep. But I have a friend who is a professional firefighter in Dublin, Ireland, and he has shared with me that full moons create some strange, interesting phenomena while he's out, and he also is a paramedic, so he's in an ambulance as well. And he's always talking about how every single full moon something weird happens, and I just find that fascinating. you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It is. I mean, the lunar cycles definitely. I mean, we've heard, I don't know about empirical data, but there's certainly been a lot of anecdotal evidence as far as, but I think that the moon tides, moon phases definitely affect us physiologically for sure. Jay, this sounds like a show coming up. How come you got to do more stuff with first responders, dude?
Well, yeah, I'm sitting here. I mean, it's been done. People do it. Richard Estep has, I think, a whole book on especially people who work in the medical field, and the things that they have experienced. But yeah, no, it is a great topic, and it's something that, like I said, I mean, I've done a lot of shows and interviewed a lot of people, and it's always when you get the military interviews or the first responder interviews that you're like, wow, I can trust these guys, and I can. Because what Rick said is true. They're trained to be observers. You know?
I mean, we've gotten to the point now in the UFO section of this at 2017 when we started getting videos released, and we talked to people like Commander David Fravor, and we just met his wing woman. It was described as a wingman. No, she was an officer. She was a naval aviator and his wingman, and she told her story as well. I wanted to get George back in here if he is still awake somewhere, because before we come to the break, I think, hey, what do we got? We got like 4 minutes. Bill, where are you? We got like 4 minutes or 7 minutes. What do we got?
5.
We got 5. Okay. Why don't we get to a clip? And George, they know what they've sent. I think Cheryl sent some. I'm not sure who else. So why don't you break that down for? Let's at least get to one before we go to break.
Okay, I'll have you guys set this one up for me also. Might as well start off with something interesting. The female voice on the FLIR camera. Who wants to set that up?
Oh, I'll talk about that one because. Oh, I'm sorry, Melissa.
No, I'm pointing to you.
Well, you're going to have to finish it up. So
Yeah.
for this clip, this is before Melissa had felt this female presence in the conference room. She got the M name, and I had the FLIR going, and in this clip, you'll hear the S box in the background, and we're getting responses to that. And we found out later that this is the verification that Melissa was talking about. So I'll let you run the clip and then let Melissa explain what happened there.
Okay, let me get this set up, and here we go.
There was a female voice.
There was a female voice. Hello. The female spirit that I'm hearing, that we're all hearing, yes. Are you the one who got the gun? Yes.
Yes. Can you turn the volume up?
Go ahead,
that
Melissa.
that was fun. That was one of those things where, when as a medium, I don't usually have gadgets. I am the gadget. And so, it's fascinating and fun for me to work with these guys because I will, I have all the clairs. So I see things, hear things, etc. And so I was getting a clear audience in my head and also just a clear sentience feeling of this person being there. And so then they set up their gadgets, the spirit box and whatnot. And we were able to get to the response, like actually physically hear, everybody in the room could hear the spirit responding to our questions, so it's just an amazing experience and a validation of this phenomena,
That's incredible. I really and I do want to tell everybody too. We've got a couple clips now, but then we're going to commercial. We've got more clips to play from you, but we've got time to fit one more in. Whoever wants to set this up, conference room Margaret. Who wants to set that one up for us?
That's probably Cheryl.
Well, for this clip, we were basically doing a EVP session with the DR60, which gives us really, really good, a lot of frequent answers. So we were just kind of asking questions about who was there, and we get a reply. So we'll see what you think it says.
Okay, here we go.
What was the name of the lady who passed away in the firing range?
Did you hear Mark? Oh my God, Margaret. Margaret.
Play it again.
What was the name of the lady who passed away in the firing range?
Yeah, that was an answer.
I get chills just listening to that again.
I have to apologize. I was so excited. That's why I was so loud.
Yeah, I got to play one more time because I want everybody to note that it was repeated, which is one of the key things that I always talk about when you're using any kind of a device, spirit box, whatever it be, repetitious response. Take a listen again.
What was the name of the lady who passed away in the firing range?
Did you hear Mark? Oh my God, Margaret. Margaret.
Play it again.
What was the name of the lady who passed away in the firing range?
Yeah, that was an answer.
Yeah, and I apologize. You guys had played it back, but that is incredible. It really is.
Rick, your response to that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, you can't. You cannot help but have some sort of an emotional response when something like that happens. That's terrific. That is one of the things that I love about this field. I really do. And I miss it because I can't get out in the field as much as I used to. But we are going to continue to go through some of this evidence from the LA Police Museum. We have an amazing list of people here joining us tonight to talk about their experiences. We're going to have some fun on the other side of the break also, but you guys do stay with us. And don't forget, if you've not done so yet, please hit that subscribe button. Very important. And of course, the thumbs up. Just take a break real quick. We'll come back with you. You are watching Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. We'll be back right after this. Stay with us.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Scrolling all day, time can disappear. Wanna make it count, why not volunteer?
Posting pics of your food, that takes up time. Time, you've got time to binge all of season 9, though it got so bad.
Time, you got time. We're gonna grow back and be the same browse you had.
Just a few hours to keep families from harm. Help us end home fires with Sound the Alarm.
Volunteer for a day to install free smoke alarms in your community.
Discover the Observation Deck, a one-of-a-kind virtual event platform that takes video content. Go to theobservationdk.com.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected, only at kgradb.com.
Watching Mikey rock out to our intro music. He's having a good time with it. Thank you guys for coming along with us on this incredible journey on our Sunday show with regards to the LA Police Museum and our incredible ensemble cast joining us this evening. And again, guys, thank you for staying up so late on the West Coast. Oh, I'm sorry, we're the ones that are up later than you guys are. That's right.
What happened to Meesha? Meesha went sideways.
Meesha went sideways. We're all...
She's trying something different here.
Oh, no, I think she froze.
She froze out. She'll be back with us to say.
Jay's up, right?
There you go. To cover it for us.
I see a question in here for me. Should I take it?
Sure.
Oh, well, we're not needed anymore.
I'm sorry. I didn't want her to go unanswered. I felt bad.
No one ever goes unanswered here. But here's the question.
Okay.
There was the question.
Yes. So yes, I would say that spirits definitely tap into the strongest Claire because they try to find a way to communicate with us. So they're going to sort of, it's almost like they go through a checklist and they see which one will hit the strongest. And it all happens in a split second, you know. But for me, definitely clairsentience is the strongest. I feel things before anything else. It's always feeling first, and then the others will come in. So like, you know, clairvoyance and clairaudience, I would say, are both like the second ones, and then there's others as well. But yeah.
I think personally Claire Danes is the strongest, but that's just me.
I've just been watching Homeland, and she's phenomenal, I have to say.
Right. Exactly my point.
So
Well,
on the
we're waiting for-
clairsentience thing here, Melissa actually got the opportunity to touch the gloves and the face masks that belong to Larry and Emil from the North Hollywood shootout. So we got to see that in action.
A little psychometry action going on there, Melissa?
Exactly. And I'll tell you, that was a very peculiar, feeling. You can feel the energy in it still, you know, it's like a vibration mixed with an emotion, you know,
Okay.
and it's very, very strange, I have to say.
Okay, when we get Meesha back, I got a line of questioning I want to go through with her. Let me see. Is she in queue yet? Is she back?
She's
Not yet.
She sent me a message saying that she's having an internet issue at the moment.
Okay. Okay. We've all been there. So while we're waiting for Meesha, George, if we want to, let's tackle a couple of more of these clips and get to these.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think Misha's biggest problem is I think the cat kept jumping on the phone. We saw that too. So that could be part of it. Okay, we left off with GS2 NH room. Who wants to cover that? Is that also you, Cheryl?
That'd be a Mikey question. He's the specific person for the GS2 commentary.
Mikey, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Rick's really good about figuring out what equipment works in which area, and then having us set that equipment up to try to get the most evidence. I had the GS2, which is, I like to call it the laser grid on steroids. It displays the laser grid, if you're not familiar with it. It also has an LED screen. So traditionally we have a laser grid out. We're looking for breaks in the beams. This device detects breaks in each grid and then shows you on the display where it's happening. In this clip, we're looking at temperature changes because the device will always, also detect the changes in temperature, whether it's getting hotter or colder. So at the time, Cheryl and Melissa were feeling cold, the room getting colder, and you can see on the screen the blue lights lighting up, showing as well that there were active live temperature changes at that time.
Interesting.
Okay.
And keep in mind real fast that it's a museum, so it's pretty like environmentally controlled, right?
Yes. Good point.
And I did turn to Meesha and ask her, do you have the air on in the building right now? Because I want to make sure that there's not a vent that's just blasted on, and she said, no, we don't have the air on at all. So I just wanted to confirm that what we were seeing in the screen was not cold air coming into the vent. So,
all right, you guys keep that in mind as you watch this video. Here we go.
Thank you. That's great. We also have other safe equipment here that you can use to communicate with us. It won't hurt you. There's a device here that has 5 lights that will light all the way up the closer you get to it. You can use that as a form of opening communication with yes or no answers.
Yes, sir.
And we have voice recorders as well, so you can talk to us and we can capture your voice.
So, I'm freezing right now. I've got so many goosebumps. She's shaking too.
Is that whoever was speaking? Is that a recording that's placed with the device so you can basically just leave it alone?
Well, no, that's actually a separate piece of equipment that I like to refer to as the McCallum method. Rick and I talk about. I bounce ideas off Rick all the time, and he's kind of my mentor on this. But we've all seen the motion sensors that will start the music box playing or different things that people have come up with. Rick thought, let's come up with a recording that will play when the motion sensor goes off to invite the spirits closer, let them know that it's safe equipment, that they can interact with it. So we, in addition to the GS2, we had that motion sensor set up there. So something had set the motion sensor off, as well as you saw in the clip there with the temperature changes that we saw.
Okay. So if can I assume that at that point no one was in the room?
Correct. The group was outside. We were actually doing the Estes method up where the evidence that is locked away, and they had heard the motion sensor go off. So the girls, Melissa and Cheryl, had gone downstairs in the room before the North Hollywood exhibit, but they were not in the exhibit room at that time.
I like it. I support it. We do the same thing a lot of times where we will mic our voices in because a human presence always causes some type of change environmentally or whatever in the room. So it's always good to do both ends of that. So applause for you guys. Big thumbs up on that. Good idea.
Yeah, Mikey, if you could make one of those for me, that when I come home, it sounds like I actually have people living with me.
Oh,
it's a lonely life. It's a lonely life. We said that. All right, next one coming on down. SLS, North Hollywood Room. Go ahead and give me the information on that one.
Well, let's let Rick take that one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure what which ones you've sent in. We've gotten so many.
You told the story earlier, Rick, when we played the recording.
Yeah. Mikey and I had been bouncing around a way to get more interaction in the North Hollywood Room, which is a very oppressive place. There's very strong negative energy. Everybody that walks in there can feel it right off the bat. So we were trying to think, after everybody had already investigated, what could we do to make the spirits in there to pay more attention? So we just came up, let's play some sounds and stuff. And then we just decided that, why don't we play the sound of the machine guns? Because that's what the North Hollywood shootout was. The bad guys had machine guns. The police had pistols. And I said, maybe the sound of the machine guns will make, some attention from the spirits. And boy, every time we do that, they just start dancing right inside the glass.
Okay.
All right, here we go. This is the SLS in the North Hollywood Room. Here we go.
Oh, Neil's trying to climb out.
Roger, did you get my
Fields are out.
That's a cool piece of video.
What?
It is. I'm looking at the readouts and the source confidence.
What?
That fluctuated anywhere between 36 and 71% on that.
Wow.
I like it.
Wow.
I like it.
And the really interesting part on that one was when they actually climbed out. They seemed to climb out of the glass, and then everything just disappeared.
When the gunfire began, it actually looks like one is firing bullets at the other one. That's what it actually looked like to me at first, and then that one kind of died. Then it looked like he was curb stomping them.
That'll happen. They do that. They beat up. There's one that always kind of beats up on the other one.
Yeah, I'll play it again. Look for the yellow bullets going and hitting the guy on the right, and then once he's on the ground towards the end, he curb stomps him. Check this out.
Begin.
Oh, Neil's trying to climb out.
Roger, did you get my
Fields, you're out.
It certainly does look like passive and aggressive there, doesn't it?
That
Well,
was a
George-
modified curb stop.
You know, I didn't notice that till you mentioned it, but it sure did look like yellow bullets going across to shoot the other
Right.
one.
Yeah.
And you know, something that's really strange, I noticed it. I don't think anybody else has ever noticed this. If you watch the North Hollywood shootout, there is a part, and I've told these people, and they've seen what I'm talking about. There's a part where the guy jumps in the car, one of the bad guys, and the other guy's shooting, and he walks by and he shoots in the window at the other guy in the car. So I mean, there's a thing saying that one of them was fooling around with the other one's wife. So I don't know if that was him thinking, all right, we're done, I'm taking this guy out, because he definitely purposely shoots in the passenger side window with the machine gun.
If you take that kind of a concept, Rick, where it seems to be this is what all makes sense, is that part or added to the investigation, whether it's instinctive or it's just done with the research to say there was an affair going on here and this is part of the reason why this took place? Do you jump on that opportunity? Do you take advantage of it? Is it something that you could utilize, and does it build on the story of this location?
Well, I think it does, because that the only thing about that is it's a rumor, you know, because they're both dead. There's no way of finding that. But just to show you how much we really get into this, Cheryl, myself, Bob, the policeman, and Meesha all went to the North Hollywood shootout bank and investigated where the two of them died. So we didn't get anything from over there. So, but that's the level of interest we have in things. And I figured as long as I was going to be one that would probably talk about some of this, like the cars and things, that I actually studied up on it and found out that they'd shot between 1,300 and 1,700 rounds at the police and other people.
Ooh.
You know.
Oh my goodness, unbelievable! I did that with my mind, Meesha, just so you know.
A little telekinesis.
Yeah. Let me throw these last two clips up there. Also, Ken did that with his mind. Whoever wants to set this one up, Rick hears woman's voice.
So this clip here, we were just chatting in the lower, the conference room, which is in the basement. And we're just talking and we hear a woman's voice, and Rick brings it up. Now, curiously enough, I went back and watched the day 2 of the live stream, the original live stream. And while Jay and they're downstairs in the firing range and you guys stop, it sounds like the same kind of a woman's voice. So see if you guys can hear it. It happens twice.
All right, here we go.
It is what my pendulums are in.
No.
Wow.
Speak faster. There we go.
Okay. I think we can go louder too.
Oh, now you're
I think that's as loud as that.
Is someone getting a girl's voice? Like from over there? I heard it twice.
Yeah, I heard it in that video. I heard it twice.
Yeah,
Now, Susan had heard, and she almost said like an animal sound while they were in the firing range, and that's right in the same area that we picked up that, and it was audible. Rick heard it. So,
well, I recall from the original event that Melissa, when you were down there, you heard a female voice.
Yeah, I did. I heard a female voice down there. I heard someone very distinctly say, "Get out." And there's also a spot. It's about, I want to say it's slightly more than halfway down the hallway, where as you're walking, first you get into that hallway and it's just kind of creepy anyway. But like as you walk down that hallway, you get to a certain spot and it's almost like there's a a force that tries to sort of stop you and almost scare you to leave. It's very freaky.
Yeah, I don't. I never feel anything like that, but I know that Meesha does, huh, Meesha?
Yes, I feel it all the time.
It comes with the job. It's just one of the perks. It depends if you're into the paranormal or not. It's a perk, believe me.
Yeah.
What's weird too? This just popped into my head. Sorry. On the very last investigation, we had a whole group that went down that hallway, and we had gotten around to the area where everybody feels. And I try not to say where the spot is, because I like to see if other people pick up on it without being influenced, And a little group stopped like right there in that same spot. And they started to look around because they were like, I wonder if it's one of these boxes. So I just kind of hung back and watched them, do their own investigation, which is what's cool about going to those events. And one of them pointed out that a North Hollywood shootout box was literally right there in that spot.
Oh.
So I never noticed that before. So I thought that was kind of wild.
We'll throw another one up from Rick's multiple times. And that's one thing, Rick McCallum. I never hear you say, well, I'm a ghost magnet. It just comes natural from the abilities that you have from honing your skill and doing what you're doing, and you being so close to death. Those are those things that throw it all together. But yeah, there's a lot of different things that go on around you there. But who wants to set this one up? Rick hears
nobody at this point.
Well, actually, listen.
I'm afraid to say anything. Might be my last words.
Well, the caption is Rick hears a breath, not Rick's last breath. So Rick hears a breath. Who wants to set one up?
Rick, you could set that one up.
Well, we were walking. As a matter of fact, it was right as before Melissa actually had her thing with Sharon Tate. I believe that was the same time. And I was in the room one farther. It was like a hallway almost. And she was in the next room. And Meesha was right behind me. And I heard a very definite voice. And I'll tell you something very strange. I'm about half deaf, but I can hear really little things. I mean, you can be talking to me. I'm going, what? But on a ghost hunt, I seem to pick up quite a bit of things that other people aren't. So I told them, nobody, and you'll hear it. Everybody goes, no, we didn't hear anything. And then Cheryl, the queen of audio, went back and dug it out. So pretty cool.
All right. Here we go. Listen for the breath.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's hard, but there's something that feels almost like rabid or something down there.
What'd you hear, Rick?
Like,
You heard a breath and you're...
Yeah, very deep breath right between me and Meesha.
oh.
I thought I heard
that.
two.
Yeah, the second one, just before he wanted to say he heard a breath, there was a second breath there, wasn't there?
Yeah.
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 Let me play that back again.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's hard, but there's something that feels almost like rabid or something down there.
What'd you hear, Rick?
Like,
You heard a breath and you're...
Yeah, very deep breath right between me and Meesha.
oh.
There were two.
There were two.
There were definitely two. So, first heard right here on Dead Air Live, ladies and gentlemen. The second breath. The
First
second
one,
breath.
about 8 seconds into that, clearly.
So, just quick story of that, if I may. Rick had come into the room. We were in there. Rick walked in the doorway, and that's when he first heard the first one. So, a little fun fact about Rick, like he said, he can hear things that none of us can hear during the event. So, when Rick says, "Did you hear that?" or "I heard this," the first thing I like to do is go back and listen to the audio. So that night we left the museum. I had I had a recorder as well. I plugged it in the aux jack in my truck and was listening to the audio on the way home. And I immediately called Cheryl because I know the EVP queen, had her recorders going. So I said, Cheryl, please, I know you heard, or you're already on it, but let me know what you got, because I heard one on mine. Again, I'm in the truck, but we stuck Cheryl on it, and she got both of those, and she's just our little EVP goddess.
Good job. Good ears.
I remember those days. So does Ken, when you had the patience to go through 8 hours of 4 recorders and sit through it. And it used to be so exciting, and now it's like, oh my God.
That's why I learned how to deal with sound programs.
There we go. Makes a big difference.
I came up with the best way to deal it of all time. Cheryl, can you check this for me?
Yeah, right. Pull the old Tom Sawyer on it. Boy, it's fun painting this fence.
He knows I'm not going to say no to him. What can I say?
No, she made the mistake of saying she'd love to listen to audio. Oh, well, okay then. Here you go.
I have if I don't know if we have any more clips, but I want to take
one more.
All right, I want to use one of my 30-second timeouts here because I want to ask Meesha a question. Let's see, is she muted? There she is. Okay, so now more and more the museum is becoming very popular, very famous. So I would imagine that there is maybe a little bit of more of a rush or a proliferation of requests that you get to investigate it. Or if not, do you anticipate that's going to happen? And the second part of that question is, what are the guardrails you're putting up? Because usually when a place gets on TV and, it goes crazy. And people are suddenly bum rushing the place, want to investigate. But what's your criteria? What's the guardrails you put up? And what do you expect of anybody that you might grant permission?
That's more of a question for Erica, our executive director. I know that we're adding more security to the museum. We have gotten a lot more requests for private paranormal investigations, but I think it's something that we're working on because this is a newer thing for us to be on a ghost show, and so things are ramping up, and I think they're just coming up with policies.
Yeah, and it's probably a good idea. I'm going to put the rest of you on the spot.
I also think, just real fast, Ken, I also think that, so the Dark Zone is doing these investigations in conjunction with the museum, and we're going to be expanding to, doing an overnight thing where people can stay in the cells. And we're also expanding to another property that is governed by the Los Angeles Police Museum and another jail. So it's one of those things where, the Dark Zone was not, in the business of doing these kinds of things, but we think it's awesome to do. We love doing it. So we are also kind of figuring out as we go how to do it, how it works, what the best
Mad Cat,
what the best way to do things is, and that's why I love having Rick and Melissa and Mikey and Cheryl and Meesha there doing it, because it's like the utmost professionalism on these investigations, and they know exactly what they're doing, and they're really good. I mean, it's one thing to go and just investigate a location. It's another thing to guide a team of potentially novices through the experience and teach them about not only the location itself and the history and the stories, but also the experiences that people have had, plus the how it's being investigated.
Yeah.
And if I might, can I just add for 2 seconds? Yeah, when we have the people come to thing and they partake in the investigation, we get some phenomenal evidence like that as well. And it's super duper fun to watch people experience the different tools for the first time. So like I'll bring dowsing rods, and it's so fun to put them in the hands of someone who's never used them before. And then they hold them and they ask spirit a question, and the rods will move and say yes or no. And, or you see someone try out the Estes method, and it's super fun to watch someone do that for the very first time.
Yeah.
I gotta ask Meesha real quick. Meesha, now that the popularity is just growing and growing with regards to the paranormal in this museum, are you thinking about adding a Dybbuk box or Paul Walker sunglasses?
I don't think so.
Okay, just making sure. All right. Go ahead, Ken.
But those of us who are invested in locations, and I know what that's like because we have some that we've been granted access to, and in a couple of cases have been asked to kind of ride herd on it, not being territorial, but to screen people, putting the rest of you on the spot and knowing that it's not yours to give away. But what would you like to see, being as invested as you are in it and having a relationship, not only with the building, but apparently some of the residents there? How would you like to see, if you had a magic lamp and you were calling the shots, the approach that people would take to something like this? Because you know as well as I do how it is, and then it's not going to take long for somebody to go in there and say they're possessed or there's something demonic or evil or whatever the case may be. So what's your guidelines for something like that? Anyone?
Well, let me give it a shot. Our thing would be, and it's one thing I always try to say. First off, if you provoke anything, I'm going to grab you and throw you out the front door.
Number one.
Number two, everybody in there deserves respect. The guests deserve respect. The hunters deserve respect, and the spirits deserve respect. Mm-hmm. And as long as you're playing the game that way, I believe truly, because I've been doing this for 55 years, that like energy seeks like energy. So if you're actually being kind, you'll get more of the same in the reverse. So provoking and screaming and all that stuff, just, if somebody came to your house, Ken, and started yelling at you, what would you do? You'd sock them in the eye and throw them on the balcony.
I would put my foot up their butt. I mean,
yeah. So why people think that's going to work with a spirit that doesn't even have to talk to you? You can't see it if it doesn't want you to. So it's just stupid. Right. So I do find that, being kind and, not saying professional, but think about what the other people are doing and, to make their experiences better. And I'll just tell you a quick story. The Estes method has been blowing up the last 2 times we were there. We've been getting some incredible things there. And last time there was a young girl and her father, and they were very quiet. And right as we were doing the Estes method, I looked over and I saw her, and I walked over and I said, you want to try this? She, her little eyes lit up. She goes, really? And I said, yeah, come on. So she just whispers to me, she can you tell my dad I'm doing this? I said, sure. So I went and got him and came back, and he watched, and she did, not a real long session because it was pretty intense. She probably did maybe 5 to 7 minutes. When he took it off and she walked back, he just hugged her, and it made the whole night just extra special.
It's nice.
Yeah. And I can add a story to that too. When my first time there, we had people coming in. One particular traveled quite a ways to get there, and it turns out that he has been going through some things, paranormal things, and wasn't sure what was happening, questions, and in particular, Melissa, I don't want to put you on the spot, but he wanted to talk to Melissa and ask questions to get help with the things that he was experiencing that he may not have been able to share with family or coworkers or friends because he didn't want to feel like he was crazy. So coming to this location for him was a big deal, but he did it. And he did have that time to speak with Melissa, and she shared everything with him, and it really changed this guy. He became very interactive with the group. His whole demeanor changed. So I think for me, it's amazing to be a privilege to have the privilege to go to these places. Jay, for setting these up, everything on the paranormal side. But when you're helping people go through something that they've been tormented with, that's the icing on the cake for me. And we have those experiences at the LAPD museum with the people that come.
And I think the other thing that we don't want to ignore is, it's a museum. It's like a not-for-profit organization that, these ghost hunts are tours basically, and they actually provide a little bit of revenue for the museum so that they can keep doing what they're doing. When you go there, yes, there is a lot of paranormal stuff, and that's our focus. But if you're just going there as a visitor, you're going to get the history of the Los Angeles Police Department and specifically that station that it was. And they have this whole display of like what handcuffs used to look like, 100 years ago. You know, there's all that. There's like a whole great display on what the uniforms look like and the progression over the years of how they started and what they are now, and they have weapons and all kinds of great stuff. And for them to keep doing what they're doing, and they have big plans for some of the stuff that they want to put up for people to enjoy and just see on just in terms of the history of the Los Angeles Police Department. I hope they continue to grow and be able to do those things. And I think when we go there and people buy tickets to go to these paranormal events, they're helping them do that, and that's huge.
Yeah, come for the ghost, stay for the history.
Yeah. And keep in mind, some of the proceeds will go towards a camera stand for Meesha.
Yes, I know. I was just thinking, Meesha, I'm buying you a camera stand.
I got one, girl. I got one for you.
And a book on how to train that cat. Those two things.
For only pennies a day for the price of a cup of coffee.
There's no training cats.
No.
But I would like to interject something here that I think needs to be said so we don't get overlooked on it. Meesha is just absolutely adorable. You don't have to go look for her. She's right there. She's the sweetest person in the world to the guests. And I mean, half of the really good things is Meesha being there. And the other thing that you guys said was, doing the live stuff and things like that. And Dark Zones always come out better. And there's a reason, because I defy anybody to find a streaming service that has the experience of Jay, Kathleen Burns, and Christine Augustine. I mean, you're not talking with some guy that just picked up a Sony camera. I mean, you got some real power there. So I think that's pretty much really why it goes, and the fact that you do have some pretty nice people there. So I think that's the key to the whole thing.
You make me blush.
And I can recall Jay saying this in just conversations on the phone. At the end of the day, we're all doing our thing, but it's about telling a great story and a place that has a great story. And in the end, that's kind of the star of the show. But
that's yeah. I mean, that's why that's why I'm interested in the field in particular, is because I'm a storyteller, and that all the shows that you see on TV, there's some storyteller who wants to tell those stories. I know it's not the same for everybody here. I mean, and there's also, from me being a very young kid, being interested in, are there answers to be found here? Can you actually investigate this and come up with answers and figure out what's going on? That's also a driving force. And I'm sure a lot of people here who have had their own experiences, and that's what got them into the paranormal, that you guys are looking for answers too. And that's why you investigate.
Yeah, absolutely true. So we've got about a half hour or 20 minutes or so. Why don't, if we have another one up in queue right now, George, why don't we get to that last clip? Or not?
Yeah, let me line this up here. And this is where, I'm the one that's moving all the cameras around. I'm doing all the technical stuff here. All right. So this is hearing the word magic right after, of course, Rick speaks, drawing him into his tiny little supernatural circle there. So here we go with this one. Unless one of you guys want to set this up first.
I think that's probably a Cheryl one, or Mikey, whoever was filming.
Rick was down in the firing range with a group of guests, and he started asking questions. So, of course, when Rick's asking questions, you better have a recorder going. So I ran in, and I was actually midway. I wasn't even close to the group. I just had the DR60 up recording. And sure enough, Rick asks a question. This EVP, interested to hear what you guys think. Rick heard what he hears, and I agree. But initially, there were other people that had that heard something as well that had different ideas. But let's see what you guys think.
Fair enough.
And this was sent to me in MP3 form, so I just put some picture up, but it's at the very, very end of the clip. So listen very carefully.
And if there's anybody in here with us, can you tell us your name to take the sound so we know you're here? Do you see that?
I get it. One more time. Here we go.
if there's anybody in here with us, can you tell us your name to take the sound so we know you're here? Do you see that?
Hey, guys. Well, you know,
Doug Henning. Doug
we
Henning.
are to assume that Irvin Johnson was not there that night, then,
or Doug Henning for that matter. Exactly.
yeah, but it's there. I don't know, you know, do you have some kind of an idea what the context of that might be? Is it just perhaps a nickname or?
I have no idea, but another person who was there also had a recorder, and he thought it said Isaac. But if you do listen to it again, it's got a very hard M at the very start. So I don't think it's Isaac. I think he's really saying magic. So I'm not sure though.
I'd love to know the content. Absolutely.
Did we lose Meesha again?
I think so.
Yeah, she went sideways and then she went down, and that was it.
Oh, she froze. Yeah.
As I've got the paranormal group here, I wanted to have a little bit of fun from an investigative standpoint. I kind of stole this off of both the TikTok platform and also the Newlywed Game. But and we're going to check your guys' dexterity, whether you're pointing right or you're pointing left.
I know, right?
However you want to point about it, but you're going to point to me, and if it's got to be, you know, somebody down in the corner, then we'll make do with it. But here's the I'll put myself down here. But this might make it a little easier. Yeah, now you can point left and right. You don't have to point diagonal there. Who out of the group is the most jumpy? Everything makes him jump. Mikey.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Mikey jumped. He pointed to himself.
Hang on, Rick.
Like, Mike, I appreciate your self-awareness there, brother.
Yeah.
And Rick ratting you out. Rick, what came to mind, Rick? What came to your head that you visioned him jumping about?
Well, it wasn't anything at the LAPD museum. The first time I met him was one of the first times he was ghost hunting, and it was a little overwhelming for him. So I actually went outside and we chatted for about half an hour. And now look at him. It's all my fault.
You ruined entertainment. You ruined all of our entertainment. You got him down. Who, out of all of you, is the biggest practical joker?
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how do I point over to Rick.
Point over to Rick. Really? He's pulling pranks on you guys.
Why am I not surprised? That's got to be like there's no major upset in that one. I wasn't even there, and I'd probably say, yeah, it was McCallum.
Yeah.
Now, is he just setting up to test you guys as far as paranormal investigators, or he's doing it just to freak you out?
But I don't do it. I mean, I don't do it on the investigations, though.
Oh, okay.
But I certainly do prank everybody when we're not doing anything.
I think Go ahead.
I was just going to say he's very quick-witted. He's always a step ahead of you. So
always got a joke.
Yeah.
Let's make this a little bit easier for the next. I got 4 more for you guys. Just put your hand up if this pertains to you. Which one of you is the one that is first to cry? Melissa and Rick, okay. Which of you is the one that's probably going to shush the rest of the group?
The audio person.
The one who screamed out when they heard the name?
Exactly.
No whispering, please.
Do what I say, not as I do.
Who of you would bring a gun to an investigation?
I brought a weapon but it wasn't a gun.
It's a loaded question.
Well, we had that experience the first night. So the second night, I brought something that would potentially protect us that is not exactly legal in California. That I got through some Chinese company, but
Jay, I didn't even expect you to bring a sharp wit. To be honest.
Oh, George is on fire.
Low
tonight.
expectations. That's how you fly.
When we're on an investigation, I think it's great if somebody brings Doritos and you're looking for like handguns.
Yeah.
I don't really see how
Let
it
me
ends
ask you
in-
this.
It's a building full of guns, but
Yeah, you don't need it. It's
There's got to
surrounded
be
by them.
200 guns and retired cops standing
Right.
there. You know.
Yeah. Who is the one that is most likely to catch evidence?
I think
Cheryl,
that
raise
was
your hand.
Mikey. Oops, I'm pointing the wrong way.
Mikey gets a lot. Well, actually, I got to go with
But then also Cheryl.
yeah.
Well,
All of
I
you
think
three.
I think we're all there.
Well,
Yeah,
if you
true.
make you're giving Cheryl all the work to do all the listening to the sound,
Right.
I get the credit, right?
her
Yeah.
stock goes up a little bit, Well, thank you guys for playing. I mean, it gives a little bit of an insight with regards to I guess the camaraderie, what you guys all do together. And it takes that. It takes that at that point in time. And I got to ask Jay, you're the producer. You're the one who creates all of this. How are you looking for the talent? How do you find such a symbiosis of a group that, there's nobody that stands out? They're all kind of in sync with one another. Is it just something that you've learned over time doing film?
Well, I mean, I've just worked with so many people over the years, especially in this field. But I never did a show with any of these guys, and it's just through personal experiences with them, and just everybody is so likable and easygoing, and friendly, and I think ultimately we just got lucky that everybody was just so cool.
It was magic.
Yeah.
There you go.
One last for Jay then. Jay, you get a call from a studio tomorrow and they say, I want to go ahead and do a show. We're going to do a show. We're going to call it The Dark Zone. We're going to put it on Discovery Plus. We're going to put it on. Which of that group are you sitting there going, oh, they're going to be so much of a pain when we do the show?
Nobody. I would be the worst. It would be me. But
I'm the one.
I think everybody would be great.
Unnecessary close-up.
Everybody would be awesome.
Oh, that's fantastic. Mr. DaCosta, I'm sorry to take up so much time.
No, I got nothing.
I will tell you guys, though, that the thing about this whole group is everybody seems to have their own niche. I mean, you've got Mikey, who's great with the gadgets. You got Cheryl, who's great with what she does with the audio. You got Melissa, who connects to everything in the freaking universe. And all I do is stand around and try and pull her out of whatever's getting her, so that's my job,
My bodyguard.
So we actually end up, we're a real good group, actually. Just, nobody really worries about who's getting credit for anything.
And there was the great thing about, you often see, especially when you have paranormal celebrity types, sometimes they are fighting each other for camera time, and even we had when we did the live event, and each night we had different people, and we had the mainstays pretty much the whole time were Brandon, Kristen, and Susan. And everybody was so generous, and everybody worked well together. And we're all friends. It helps to be friends, Everybody likes each other genuinely.
I'll tell you what, everybody I've come in contact with, whether it was personally or whether it was doing one of these postmortems, everybody, right on down the list has been just amazing. So, credit to you, Jay, for, that feeling you have for people, because I can tell you that, I felt it myself. And I've got stories that, behind the scenes, as far as meeting some of these people like Mustafa, Susan, Brandon, and even, Melissa and I, we talk, messaging each other and things like that. Amazing. It's an amazing amalgam of people that are doing this. And I think that you pointed out something very important, that it's not that anybody's lacking anything, but everybody has a certain strength that all pulls together. You know what I mean? Whether that is from, the metaphysical, whether it's the technological, whether it's just hands-on, just common sense, good people. And you put people like that together and they can accomplish some amazing things and get some amazing results. And, there's nothing here that has changed my mind on that. So this is why we enjoy the Dark Zone events. This is why we love to talk to you folks. This is why we love to have you on for a post-mortem to talk about this and listen to some of the clips and get some of the insights beyond. I mean, we can listen to EVPs and video all night, but we just love to get the stories behind them and learn something about the people that are doing this. So,
well, and we love to talk to you guys too. It's always fun. You guys always have a fun show. I did want to bring up. There are 4 video clips that are on our app, on the Dark Zone app, that Meesha provided me that I thought were really interesting. I've been really slammed this weekend. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get them to you, but I know the guys can talk about them because it happened on this last investigation. And it was from my interpretation of what I'm seeing in these videos, it's contact with Marilyn Monroe. And it was actually really interesting. I'd love to throw it to you guys and kind of get a sense of, I know, Rick, you were in the video. You're sitting right there. I don't know who else in the group was actually in the room when it was happening, but the videos are really interesting to see. And the back and forth. I forget who had the headphones on. I think it was the woman that I had just met from Hollywood that Meesha was talking about earlier, and she was doing Estes. And the responses are so right on with the questions. I've never seen it happen that way before. Usually a question is asked, you sit there for a while, and then there's a response. These responses were like happening right after the questions, and they sounded to me like direct responses. Can you guys talk to that about what your experience was in those sessions?
Rick,
well,
do you want to? Well,
yeah, I could tell you some of it because I usually sit right next to the person. But I will tell you who has gotten some extraordinary stuff is Melissa when we've had her in the Estes method. But we've also had earlier we had a 13-year-old girl in the Estes method, and some of the things that we've been getting, like I said earlier, the Estes method is just absolutely blown up. Where we were getting things like the girls going gunshots, murder, right? And then she goes, "I am Emil." Now Emil was one of the guys in the North Hollywood shootout. I mean, and then the Marilyn Monroe where they were talking, we were kind of thinking it might have been Sharon Tate.
Yeah, there was confusion.
It was about the blonde. They kept saying the blonde. And then finally I said, I think they're talking about Marilyn Monroe because they talk about 2 men that come in and they find her dead on the bed. That's not Sharon. That was Marilyn, right? And if anybody knows the Marilyn Monroe story, Thomas Noguchi had said she died from Nembutal overdose. Yep. But he also said that she had absolutely no capsules in her stomach.
Right.
So the fact that the 2 guys coming in was kind of an interesting thing on the story. So that was the one about Marilyn. And a lot of the stuff the person was saying, just like you say, Jay, it was just dead on. I mean, it was like you're talking to Marilyn sitting there practically. And it's been like that with all the other stuff. All the Estes lately has been just amazing.
Well, that's why I asked after I heard the videos, I asked if she could hear the questions, but she couldn't because like the audio was so loud in her headphones, it was bleeding out, Rick, and you heard the audio coming out of her headphones. You heard your voice at one point.
Yeah, that was the weirdest thing. I was sitting right next to her and I turned around and I looked at all of them. I think they could realize that it was something shocking to me. And I said, "Did you guys hear that?" They said, "No." And I said, "That sounded like me talking." And I mean, it was bizarre. I've never run across that, but that was kind of shocking, I have to tell you.
Well, before we get out of here, we got about 5 minutes left. So we always like to give everyone an opportunity to tell us a little bit about what's next for you, what you got planned, what's coming up in your future. So why don't we go clockwise? Mr. McCallum, what is going on with you? What do you got going on? What's coming up?
Well, obviously no dates are coming up, but No, I'm actually going to go to the old Paulding Jail in Ohio for a ghost hunt, and actually Mikey and Cheryl are going to. And I'm meeting some of my other friends there, Kat Hobson and Lori Dorsey. She'll be there also. And then after that, I'll be leading a tour to Scotland, July 11th to the 19th. And I think pretty much, with the exception of Melissa, everybody that's up here is going. So I'm really looking forward to those because I love Scotland, love these guys. So we should have a hell of a good time.
Melissa, where are you going if not to Scotland?
I'm going to Italy with my family. Otherwise, I would totally go to Scotland. But what I got going on right now, I'm actually teaching a mediumship series right now, and both Cheryl and Meesha are in it as well. So I'm basically teaching people how to do what I do because I truly believe that everybody can do this.
Okay.
She makes it look really easy. It's not that easy.
Yeah, that's the thing, Cheryl. It's like, yeah, anybody can do this. You make it look easy. Mikey and Cheryl, what is going on for you folks beyond any return trips to the museum? What do you got going on?
I don't know. Maybe we should ask if Jay has anything for us.
Well,
so we are Meesha and I are and the Los Angeles Police Museum are working on the next exclusive investigation, which will be an overnight thing, and it will include another location that we're going to start adding to this this tour. And you guys are going to be involved if you want to be, and helping these two here kind of run the show. So that'll be fun.
Are you? Is it the Beverly Hills Hilton?
I don't think so.
Yeah, at this point, I think both me and Mikey are open to basically do anything that anybody has to offer for us. It's just been such a pleasure to go to so many locations and have so much opportunity that it's like my reaction is yes.
Yeah,
same.
That's it.
I can say the same.
Stay there too. Say yes to the universe once in a while.
You got it.
It's a good deal.
Yeah.
Hi, George.
This has been fun. It takes me back to so many times now, Jay, that we've gathered a group of incredible investigators and researchers who've come together and created this amazing thing called Dark Zone. Make sure you guys do check out the Dark Zone app, also darkzone.tv. And I'm still waiting for my circle on the app. So whenever that shows up, we can take care of that.
And just really quick, if you go to the darkzone.tv, there's a QR code there that will send you to the app. The app is a whole different thing from the darkzone.tv or the location where we have all of our videos over at Endavo Media. It would be the darkzone.app.
Yes.
You wanted to go directly to it.
There it is.
Yeah, and use promo code Bluemke is God. You'll get 10% off. That does it for us tonight, guys. Want to thank you so much. We have a really interesting show next week as well. I mean, it just keeps getting better and better and better. This is the pinnacle of why we do what we do. So make sure you guys stay with us. Hit that subscribe button and the thumbs up, and we'll see you next week. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Good night.
Thanks.